#2 JKLIVE. Tweets coming in thick and fast for Senator Johnson Sakaja. I'll read a couple of them real quick. Magak Dennis says, Senator Johnson Sakaja is one of the young and brilliant minds of our political arena currently, someone who advocates for issue-based politics and not kelele mingi. Kama wengine. Salimia mheshimiwa. Bobby says, I admire the senator's confidence. He is no politician. He is a leader. Keep the fire burning.
Asante sana.
And then, my good friend, Francis Atwoli.
Oh, my mzee.
Yes. He says, Jeff, tell the young man that the referendum is coming and he must know Vindu Bichenjanga.
Oh, my.
Speaking of referendum.
Yes.
Proposal by some governors that we don't have term limits. You saw today's Star. Front page of the Star.
I saw it,
governor saying, extend our term limits.
And I think before the break, I christened it patent nonsense. Yeah, like that kind of nonsense can actually get intellectual property rights and be the picture of nonsense in the dictionary. Because Jeff, you know, this obsession with power, this obsession with you want to just stay on and on and on, is not what the referendum, if it happens, is going to be about. I think there will be a review of our law. The discussions that have been taking place around, the Building Bridges initiative and all of that have exposed, our weak underbelly as a country. 2007 showed us that what we had thought for a long time was a fabric that holds this country together was just nylon, And remember, for many years, people kept saying, oh, Kenya is an oasis of peace. And all of that was shattered. Yeah. And we realized that we're just an election away from total breakdown. And so the thrust of any changes in our law will not be about giving more people power, extending terms of governance, etc. It will be seeing how we can create a more inclusive society. The first thing, Jeff, is that we shall not have a winner takes all kind of politics in this country. You remember that, I think maybe a year or two ago, we came here and we spoke about consocialism, where a nation realizes that, yes, we're a nation of many nations, but we must give every different shred of thought, of political identity, an existence and presence, and a form of expression. So that if any one lineup wins, you don't feel, oh, my people, we are locked out for the next 5 years or whatnot. And it's still democracy, but let's have it in a way that everybody feels that they're part of it. But that is the thrust of the referendum.
But when you say all-inclusive, it's...
As much as possible.
Yeah, but it means you're just creating more executive seats at that executive dining table.
Jeff.
2 deputy presidents, 2 deputy prime ministers, prime minister, president. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Jeff, man. Even if that proposal sees the light of day, for a president from one community, a deputy from a different community, 1 prime minister, 2 deputies, of course you have a speaker of the National Assembly, speaker of the Senate, leader of majority, leader of minority, chief justice, all from different communities. Yeah? You've only created, 4 more positions. Yeah. It does not take a change of the law to create executive positions. We have CASs, which amendment came to the Constitution. But we have, I think, 20 CASs? Correct. Those are 20 extra positions that may not necessarily bring inclusivity in this country. And you see, if that is a bullet we must bite, and I've not seen documents or the proposals at Building Bridges initiative. Yesterday I was at a function with the women leaders of this country. Lovely function from all political, different schools of thought, from Jubilee, from NASA, from civil society, from the corporate world, saying that, we want to give our contributions as women of Kenya. We're organizing one for the young people of this country to also bring their voice. Whatever it takes, Jeff, for us to create that inclusive country, I think we must be able to shoulder that cost, Jeff. Jeff, if you have a child who is in ICU, and that child is on, at the brink of death, and the doctor tells you that for us to resuscitate this child, we must do 1 or 2 things, you will not think about it twice. Has this country been at the brink of the precipice? It has. Have we been just at the edge of the cliff? We have. So if what it takes for us to really create a platform through which inclusivity, because inclusivity, Jeff, is not just positions. It then becomes a change in our value system. It becomes equality of opportunities. You can never have cohesion if people in this country, wherever they might be, whether it is Mandera or Turkana, or Kuria or Lunga Lunga, feel that they're not as part of Kenya as the other person, you must build that software. But for us to do that, we need the infrastructure, the governance infrastructure, the leadership infrastructure, the sections of this country, Jeff, where no matter what you do for them, do a road to everyone's house, put them on a salary. If they don't see somebody who expresses who they are somewhere at the table, they feel they're not part of government.
Yeah, and someone who's increasingly feeling not a part of government is Deputy President William Ruto, because recently the president appointed Fred Matiang'i.
Jeff, I realize you really want to talk about William Ruto.
I just want to get the elephant out of the room.
Jeff, the appointment of Matiang'i, in fact, I wish it was done in 2013. Yeah, because it's nothing new in this country.
It is.
If you look at that structure all the way down, Jeff, I'm sure in your time, because you're much older than I was, we used to have district development committees.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Where at the district level, the DC would sit with the technical representatives of different ministries to actually look at what government is implementing in those areas. For the past few years, we've had a system that does not move all the way to the ground in terms of development. So the president will call and say, oh, that road from Habasoin in Northeastern, where has it reached? And he'll call the cabinet secretary, who will call his PS, who will call the director, who will look for, and the broken telephone. By the time it comes back up, they'll say, oh, there's a road, it's at 60%. Because when you go to the very local level, the person there in charge maybe is even in cahoots with the engineer. So you need another system of technocrats who are looking clearly at development and dealing with the hardware. And I remember, let me just tell you, we were at a church meeting at PCA at St. Andrews. And I remember saying something, and the president actually told me that is what I want to do. That in this country, we have focused on building the hardware. We're doing bridges, we're doing roads, we're doing an SGR, but what about the software? In your last term, Your Excellency, please focus on the software. Because our 100-year-old plus railway took only 3 hours to be uprooted in Kibera. Because we focus on the hardware and not on the software. And what this new setup of government does, it allows the president to have people focusing on the hardware while he deals with the fight against corruption and building bridges and who we are as a country, our identity as a people.
Okay.
So I think it's good, and it is not a slight on the position of William Ruto.
Forgive me if I don't agree with you.
It's okay.
But just for the record, Senator Sakaja just called me a fossil on national television.
No, Jeff, there's a time, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
There's a time I remember with my good friend, Professor Nyang Nyongo. We were on a debate on a sister station, Nah station.
Yeah.
And then it got a bit heated and he said, Sakaja, where were you when we were fighting for multi-parties in 1992? And I said, Prof, I'd really have loved to be there. But I was in standard 2, for heaven's sake. So there's no way I'd have been there. But every generation has its cause and its moment. Okay. And for us now, is to unite our country and focus on that software as the hardware is being done.
You look, and you're absolutely right. And the best person who would have been appointed to do that job that you're saying is the person who everyone says is the hardest working man in the president's cabinet. The hardest working man. William Ruto wakes up at 4 a.m., would go to 15 different places in one day. You wonder how he does it. And I mean, he's the most efficient, hardworking person. And yet, the rug was taken away from him, and he was thrown under the bus.
If it has nothing to do with that, I mean, it would be diminishing the status of a deputy president to make him sit in a cabinet committee while he's somebody who can chair a cabinet.
But he loves to work, Senator. He loves to work.
The Minister of Interior, my friend Matiang'i, does not have the constitutional prerogative to chair cabinet. You understand? The deputy president is the principal assistant to the president. So whatever the president will be left doing, his principal assistant remains the deputy president. So it is not a slight. And people must stop this scarcity mentality. A candle does not lose its light by lighting another candle. So just because I've given this person this job does not mean I've taken it from you, because it was not your job to begin with, and that's why the constitution is very threadbare when it comes to the specific roles of a deputy, whether it's a deputy president or a deputy governor, because the president can assign duties as time goes by based on what he really wants them to do. So let the technicians do the technical work. Let them give us those reports. We don't want to go to the portal of the PDU And be told, oh, this project, and I'm glad the other day I was at Westlands Market, and finally they've done another disbursement. Yeah, but you go there and it's saying 80%. We don't want that. If it's 40, let it be 40. Let those technical people be able to be accountable to somebody, and let the deputy play his role for being a principal assistant to the president.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it Shakespearean? Is it the ultimate betrayal?
No. No. President Uhuru Kenyatta is not a betrayer. In fact, for President Uhuru Kenyatta to have a different candidate in 2022, you'll have to have removed yourself. That's his favorite. Yeah. But as Papa Toli says, Vindu Vichenjanga, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just a young boy who does not know these things. But from what I know, our president is a man of his word, unless you betray him. And the way you can betray him is by moving beyond what you had agreed upon. And I gave you the example of how people can come together in love, and they're like, oh yeah, we have all these dreams, this is what we want to go to. But one of them goes away from that agenda. You understand? So Uhuru Kenyatta will never betray anybody. And in fact, people have tried to use this narrative to say, oh, this community never keep their word politically. To see, the president I know is not a betrayer, unless you decide to move away from what you agreed. And I know it. In the past, I've borne the brunt of it. Tumekosana mara mingi, nimerudi, tumesameana. But I know he stays firm on the line we agreed to take. That is Uhuru Kenyatta for you. And so for him to, and people should stop looking at building bridges, because that is actually undermining the whole intention of it. If the president himself has said, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, a man I have a lot of respect for, has said that what they are doing with the handshake and building bridges is not about politics. Who are we then to sit with the crystal balls, saying, oh, this might be what it is, or they want to anoint this person, or this one wants to be the Prime Minister next time, this one the President? No. Let that discussion happen in 2021 based on how things will unfold between now and then.
Let's switch gears. The whole rigmarole, the back and forth between the DPP, the DCI, and the judiciary on the fight against corruption. What's going on, man? I mean, it's like blame game. This person is this person, is this person. Come on. Are we ever going to fight this dragon?
You know, Jeff, at some point I was sympathetic to the school of thought that let all the blame lie on one institution. Yeah? And I was like, oh, this discussion is not good. Let us not, just point fingers. And I thought about it again. Look, the discussions we're having today in this country about the judiciary have never been had before. Yeah? We have a very energetic DCI, DPP. The strength of their work will be seen in the actual convictions they get. But everybody has a part to play. So at this point, look at the countries that have succeeded in fighting corruption. First of all, and I've said numerously, they don't have a special institution like the ESCC. You'll not find it in the UK, you'll not find it in the US. What we have is, I think, the Indonesian model of fighting corruption, where you have a special institution to which you have arrogated functions that are naturally, investigation is naturally a police function. And, now processing all of that is naturally from the DPP's office, but you are getting it to a special institution. So you have sibling rivalry that has crept up. The studies that have been done about this around the world. How you succeed in fighting corruption is if you create a holy trinity of the criminal justice system. You have the prosecution, you have the investigation, and you have the judiciary. We need to see a special branch of the judiciary that is dealing with corruption, working closely. And you will not achieve it by pointing fingers. So it is true. What Kenyans want to see in this fight is some real convictions. But convictions will not be gotten by razzmatazz. Jeff. And I know there was need for shock therapy.
Correct.
There was.
Correct.
We had shocked the system. Jeff, arresting, the deputy CJ, ministers, governors, all arms of government have been shaken a bit. So there are people who maybe had been thinking about getting into corruption and are like, oh, hey.
You think twice.
Even if I'm not convicted, the journey we're seeing these people going through, the NYS people, the white people, itself is a deterrent. So we must stop seeing conviction as the ultimate goal. But I keep saying this. We are talking about symptoms. Jeff, you don't fight corruption the same way you don't fight a running nose. You fight the flu. Corruption, tribalism are all symptoms of a bigger problem. We need to look at the value system in this country so that the only reason people are not corrupt is not because they are not convicted or because that if I'm corrupt, I know I'll go to jail. But because our value as Kenyans, our identity, once we create it, says that as a Kenyan, this is not the way Kenyans deal.
But
so let's stop dealing with
lost that.
symptoms.
We lost that along the way.
No, Kenya is 50 years old, man. We can reclaim it. What do you mean? Do you know when the US decided to actually create an identity of an invisible power, invincible, and they came up with all this, oh, Captain America, they sat down with showbiz, they sat down with media.
With Hollywood.
They said, with Hollywood, sorry. And they said, let us start passing these messages, even subliminally. Yeah? Let's start passing these messages subliminally. That there's, oh, you know, Uncle Sam will get you wherever you are in the world. Land of the free, home of the brave. Yeah. These things must be done and we must socially engineer. But for us to create, to deal with values, we must have an identity. And that is where building bridges comes in, Jeff. Who are we as Kenyans? Are we just 45 million people caught in between 583,000 square kilometers who must get along? Or is there a value of Kenyans? Jeff, there's something that in your family, they know, oh no, the Koinanges don't do this.
Right.
The Koinanges see off their guests. The Koinanges give anybody who comes food. Because you've created an identity as a family unit. What is the Kenyan identity? What does it mean to be a Kenyan? Once we've defined that, and we've pushed it, it might be a 10, 15-year process, 20-year process of social engineering even. Once we've done that, let me tell you, we'll stop fighting symptoms like corruption. My final example, Jeff, on that issue. You ask, are the corrupt or our leaders the problem? Or are they the biggest manifestation of a problem we have? If you have a flu today, Jeff, and you have a running nose, cutting off your nose does not stop the flu. The mucus will not stop coming out because the problem is inside. Sort out the problem. And that is where the fight against corruption and tribalism must focus on. The real cause.
That's deep. I'm going to, before I go and check out some tweets real quick, you are in charge of oversight for this county.
Yes.
Your governor still has no deputy.
Yeah.
What's going on? Do you ask him to talk?
Of course, we've raised it. I've raised it severally in the Senate.
Yeah.
Because, you know, choosing a deputy or not is not a matter of whether I want to. In fact, the Supreme Court has given an opinion. And I think we need now to take it to the next level. Because, honestly, Jeff, there's a way a county needs to be structured. In fact, somebody can actually go and say, legally, that Nairobi County is not properly structured. And I've raised that matter severally, you know, because you must have a deputy, not because either I want to or not. Of course, just having a deputy will not deliver to the people, whether you have one or not. But you must be properly structured as a county. And I keep saying, we've given this county government time to settle. They've settled. We've given them time to, you know, sort out, but, you know, you see, someone is in there, someone is not there anymore. Yeah. There's some things they do well, you know. I want to commend them for, you know, dealing with the nurses issue yesterday. 22 counties still have not done that. Right. But where they get it wrong, they get it completely wrong. Yeah. And for that then, as the oversight, we must deal with it within the theatre of oversight, which is the Senate. What
do you think his problem is? I'm talking about Governor Sonko. What do you think? You think he's paranoid? Do you think he's... Why is he taking so long? Why is he not interested?
I don't know. I'm not in his mind. And these things, Jeff, must never be subjective, that it's about somebody's personality or choice. You know, you're not given a choice. The Constitution defines a properly constituted county government as one that has a governor, a deputy, 10 CCs, chief officers, a county secretary, and all of those, you know, people. So without going into the personality of the individual, Nairobi is not properly constituted. We don't have a speaker. You know, we don't have a deputy. And you see, my style of raising these issues, maybe some people say, oh, Sakaja, you're not dealing with this because I'm not out there punching walls or doing somersaults. Because I was elected to be the senator to represent Nairobi in the Senate. Consult the hands that have raised it severally, and now it must go to the same level, even if it's a constitutional interpretation in court. We'll deal with it.
Before Senator, you were MP, right?
Yes.
So you know your way around Parliament very well, right?
I think so, fairly well.
Yeah.
But I don't know that place where people smoke and bang.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going.
How would I?
Is it customary for people to smoke in those toilets in Parliament?
No, to smoke bang in Parliament? No, I don't think so. I think he said it on a light note. Because he said it before about Aaron Cheriot. He said about Waititu. I think it was on a light note, and we should take it for the humor value of it. Governor Waititu responded to it. I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. So you never partook?
Have I been accused of partaking?
No.
No. But quite seriously, Jeff, this county has challenges, as many of our counties do. You know, We're still grappling with issues of unemployment. We're dealing with issues of environment, transport issues. I'm sure you remember the Matatu ban, the car-free days where I had to come in. Unfortunately, I agree with the master plan of it. And I came here, I gave you the document. It cost us 400 million shillings to develop. But all this haphazard type of planning, of land use, of BRT, or let's have 10,000 hawkers coming in, cannot fly. This is a 21st century city that needs a proper, thorough plan that already exists. Please, just implement it. That's all we want. Nairobians don't want the side shows. Nairobians don't want me now side discuss individuals. Yeah. You know, and as much as they try to provoke me to do that, Jeff, today there was a press conference of guys talking about me and Babu Win and whatnot. We'll never respond to those minions. What we'll focus on is the issues. That is what we'll focus on. Yeah.
Yeah. When you speak to your governor, or in general, you think he's doing a good job? He's different, let's say. He's unconventional. He's no Kidero. Is he doing a good job?
On the things he's gotten right, he's gotten them right. On the things he's gotten off, he's gotten them terribly off. Yeah. And many people share the same disappointment, Jeff. And you see, for me, my interest is for the county to succeed, for him to succeed as governor. And we've presented ourselves as available that, look, if there's a challenge you need help with from the Senate, or even just ideas, brainstorming, bring your MPs together. You know, call a meeting. How can Nairobi be the only county where there's never been a meeting between leadership? The governor, the deputy, when we had one, I think now it's a year, the senator, the women rep, and the MPs, you know. Sit down with the MCAs. You'll find MCAs have brilliant ideas. I sit down with them. They have amazing ideas, you know. So there's more that can be done. I don't think all is lost. I think there's still an opportunity to salvage a lot in the city, but I cannot, you know, underscore or play down the level of disappointment in many people, but I know that he can be able to improve on it.
You know, he's probably worried that you're eyeing his seat.
I don't know why. I've had it. You know, I've had him saying it. You know, when there was an issue of Matatu ban, because I went on principle on that issue. Said, oh, even me nilikuwa nafanya hivyo wakati ya Kidero, hizo ni Bindire. People are saying, oh, Sakaja wants to be. Where have I declared that I want to be governor of Nairobi? I have not. I have not declared that
yet.
The same way I keep saying that even at the presidential level, let's focus on work, is the same way I cannot walk, you know, I must walk my talk. So I have not declared my interest in any seat, Jeff. Anything can happen. Yeah. Anything can happen.
Speaking
we thank God for life.
Speaking of president, Robert Barale says, now that's a future president right there. Astute, intelligent, educated.
Oh, I'm really flattered and honored.
Monica, do we have tweets or just look at my name there?
Mungu mbele. That's my slogan.
Yeah. Monica, today, yeah? Atuya Eric, Honorable Sakaja, convinces me that politicians can be honest and real. Anaongea ukweli mtupu.
Asante Atuya.
It's the magician. Please ask Honorable Sakaja if he can consider running for presidency. Oh, he can make a good president like Barack Obama. You have my full support. Pressure. Kibet Keegan, I'd like Sakaja Johnson to champion for some changes that will allow the youths to take over the civil service. The rate of unemployment is alarming amongst the youth.
It is.
Rate of unemployment.
It's a problem, Jeff.
Yep.
In the last parliament, I did what I could do. I brought the National Employment Authority, 30% procurement for young people. The problem is implementation. And that's why I'm saying this Matang committee must make sure every county, every ministry gives our young people 30% procurement opportunities, and that the Employment Authority is actually, you know, implemented, surely. We can't just be making laws for the sake of... Laws are not pretty suggestions. Yeah. Laws are the law. They must be followed.
Absolutely. Good point. Mohia, John Tay, you say? We can't all fit in the offices of the Sonko cleaning exercise regardless of our qualification. Kindly follow up the youth fund in Nairobi County if at all it exists. Most of our energy and ideas can be tapped and directed to the right and lawful activities.
I've actually followed that up, Jeff. Next week, and I've pushed them to actually get these young people money. Next week, we're releasing 21 million shillings to young people and women in Nairobi County. Yeah. And I've pushed for it, and I'm urging my colleagues in the Senate also, you go and push for your young people. Help them register businesses. If any young person wants to register a business, let them come to my office. I'll do it for them. And I'll give them advice of how to actually pursue these opportunities. KICC 26th floor, come tomorrow.
You're telling them?
Tomorrow. Come tomorrow to my office. If you a young person in Nairobi,
Can I come?
Wewe sasa jamini.
Mimsi youths.
Where's the youth? Chana na hiyo.
No fossils.
Wachia vijana, no fossils allowed.
Josephat Mayanja is an engineer, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice guy. Sakaja Johnson should start a movement to establish youth employment centers in every sub-county where young people get educated, something that will add value to their lives. And this should engage some MPs who are sleeping. Sleeping or smoking. Edwin Waithaka 01. Kenyans are experts in recycling leaders. Youth are always enemy to their fellow youth, and women enemy to their fellow women. Recycle them and continue crying. Ooh. Oh. You know? Okay, some text messages here. Mary from Embu. I wish we had 20 such politicians in Kenya. This country would transform in the years. I pray Sakaja becomes a president of this country. Sakaja becomes the president of this country one day. I'm telling you, man.
Hi, Jeff.
I
don't know.
To whom much is given.
Much is expected. I never know how to react to that.
Nyongesa from Ruai says, hi, Jeff. What plans does Sakaja have for his team, AFC Leopards, which is now limping towards relegation? The Leopard has lost its spots.
Jeff, I'm really sad as patron of FC.
You are the patron, yes.
Today we were defeated by Mount Kenya United. You know, who does that? But we've had issues.
Yeah.
We've tried supporting the team. I'm not an executive member, I'm the patron, but I'm calling a meeting with the NEC members to get to the bottom of it. Because honestly, AFC was a giant.
Can you imagine?
And we will bring back the glory.
Do you remember the days of JJ Masiga?
I'm telling you, and Kadenge.
And Abbas, Kenya won.
I'm telling you.
Bro.
We will get back there.
Bro.
We'll get back there. What is that?
Francis Gashuri is saying, Karori thunderstorm. Karori thunderstorm.
No, I don't think Gashuri can talk
would
about
like to
football.
take on AFC.
Gashuri should keep quiet.
Ernest Orito says, I'm proud of Senator Sakaja. He is charismatic, compassionate, resolute, and very strategic in his thinking. It is this breed of leadership that has gifted El Salvador a 37-year-old president.
Yeah, look at El Salvador.
Not bad.
Yeah,
not bad. And they went through hell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They've come a long way.
Yeah.
Dixon Dungire from Kindaruma. Honorable Sakaja, in your very own opinion, which is the best way or plan to decongest Nairobi City, regardless the cost?
Do you have time?
I was going to say summarized version.
Do you have time? There's a lot. I brought this book for Mutula. Fortunately, because I'm still reading it, he didn't come. This is called Order Without Design. Yeah? How Markets Shape Cities by Alan Bedford. He's an urbanist.
Yeah. Order without design.
Order without design. And that's what you're seeing in our city. If you go through this book,
yeah,
it gives you case studies of cities that look like Nairobi. You know, around the world, what they've been able to do. We have these plans, Jeff. But that's why I keep saying the haphazard nature of planning this city cannot work. Yeah. We cannot exist without a mass transit system, without the BRT. But before we do that, you cannot come and say, oh, let's just do a car free. You have not created the infrastructure. You're saying we want 10,000 hawkers to come in there. You don't know who they are, and we mix issues. And I think it's fortunate now the kind of disposition the government is taking. The PS and the CS started engaging us as leaders now. We're able to sit down with them, and I'm sure there'll be a series of meetings for us to share these ideas. The plans, I mean, Nairobians spent 100 million. JICA gave us 300 million.
And the blueprint is there.
The blueprint is there, you know, and it's been improved now over time. We must transform the city. And let me tell you, Jeff, any clear-minded governor of this county would do it in 3 years. Elevated transport system. In 3 years, Dubai has done it. Addis Ababa, of all places.
Correct.
I was in Dar es Salaam the other day with the Right Honorable Prime Minister watching football. Yeah, and of course we had other meetings after that.
Yes.
The BRT is just running across. You can see it running across. BRT Dar es Salaam is doing better than Nairobi.
How?
Addis Ababa.
How?
Just 45 billion. Look at what we're spending money on. So the plans are there, we can do it, but let's just focus on the right things. Let's not put the cart before the horse. And I'm glad P.S. Singer is a brilliant guy. He came from South Africa. He's done amazing work there. But I want him to come and let's sit. And we've agreed to meet there so that we can now match the theory and the practicability of how we transform the city. In 3 years, we'll get it done.
Finally, Senator, finally. And you know, you said some really pretty remarkable things tonight. I'm very optimistic. You know, the pessimist in the room would say, you know what? This guy he's just talking, man. It's just wind here. I mean, what he sees is not what we see. What do you tell people going forward?
Number one, you know, what I see may not be what you see. But and I've said it before, for us to change our country, we must look at it not in terms of what it has always been, but in terms of what it must be. So until you pull out those weeds of skepticism in your mind, you know, until you decide, as I've said before, to be unapologetically optimistic without being recklessly naive, then you settle for mediocrity. That, oh, we are corrupt, let's always stay corrupt. Oh, we are tribal, let's remain tribal. Oh, we can't develop. Oh, we collect taxes, they're stolen. Oh, sour, let them steal, but let them not steal too much. No. Somebody must put their foot down. And generations of this country have done it before. My generation is not willing for the story of Kenya to be the same 10, 20 years from now. No. Tumekata.
Say that again. Unapologetically?
Optimistic without being recklessly naive.
Deep, deep, deep. I thought you were going to say, ask not what your country can do for you.
Oh, that's JFK. I mean, those are textbook things.
Oh, that's 50 years ago.
Yeah,
that's my people.
Things. Yeah, those are your, you know,
my generation.
Age mates. No, but Jeff, we have a beautiful country.
We do.
You know, let's just focus on work. Tuache siasa itakuja. Na itaisha. They'll be 27, 32, 37, uko itaendelea.
And here's advice from someone who was 18 years old when you were born.
Yes.
If you do become that president that everyone is saying, please don't change.
Jeff,
that's what I'm saying. Please
I don't know about the future, but it's in God's hands. Yeah.
Well done. Super Senator Sakaja, Monica's Bay.
You're getting me in trouble. What do you mean?
Thanks so much for being a part of JKLIVE. You know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks so much for being part of this conversation. This is the kind of talk we always need with people like this young man here who has his heart and his mind in the right place. I hope there are more like him out there.
There are many. Jeff, there are many.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., join Professor Hamo and myself on the hottest breakfast show in all of Africa. Hashtag Jeff and Hamo on Hot 96. Thanks so much for being a part of this show. Good night, good luck, and God bless the next generation of amazing Kenyans.